Okay, so if we look on here, how this thing was sitting, see there's a dirt on the bottom side of all these. Okay. They'll let you in. Okay. All right, so here I am at the police storage center, which does. What the hell? Oh, so this has. I just videotape it. This has leaves and. Engine was obviously left outside. No, these weren't covered, except for one. Let's see, rain jackets. Wow. Okay, so if we look on here, how this thing was sitting, see there's a dirt.
Yeah, I mean,
on the bottom side of all these.
Friday goes with the cases that I'm working on. I actually like that idea.
See the dirt's all sitting on that one side because the water's going out.
Yeah. Actually, dumb question.
So there's definitely water in this.
I have an email out to a trainee.
Well, got the engine and stuff in the RV. I'm just leaving now. The holding center at the sheriff's office. Pretty disappointed. Stuff was obviously left outside, just like all this stuff here, because they were going to throw it out. You can tell there's leaves in the box, there's rust in the motor, water obviously got in there. Okay, so just got the motor back and the other parts that are back there still in the bin. About to take these out. I did put paper in between all these. You can kind of see the rust already before you take it out from this thing being exposed outside. There's a lot of dirt. This is all from picking it up in terms of that was already on it. You can see kind of water spots in certain areas. You can see the top of that. That's from being out in the sun. But so basically what happened was my 2016 R1 got stolen. I'd been followed by a van. It was a professional thing. They sold in the van, and a few weeks later I found my parts had been listed on eBay. Robert Anthony Morano had a little chop shop going and basically listed my parts, and I was able to verify through the VIN number on the engine. So the cops went in there, and basically he was arrested. I was told that they had all the parts, and that they were going to be, basically put into evidence. And this had been going on for a year, and finally when he accepted a plea about a year later, I was told to contact Orange County Sheriff's Property and Evidence at 407-317-7570, which I did. I was then explained that when they pull up my information, that they did show the paper title was still there, but they threw everything else out. That everything had been set up for disposal because it had been there for too long, which I told them there's no way that's possible. Because the case was still ongoing, and I was supposed to pick it up that week once the case was over. So I was told that they would have a supervisor contact me back. I did get a call back the next day from a supervisor, and she told me that basically they had made a mistake, that they had put out all the stuff to get destroyed, and that luckily for me, they did a search, and they found all the stuff was still outside getting ready to be destroyed, so they're going to put it on a pallet and bring it back inside. So they left everything outside. I don't know why. Basically, these pictures are me coming up and showing up, and video is how I basically found everything. There's scratches on all kinds of stuff. There's no scratches on the inside of the frame. There was a ton of water damage. The engine was basically just done because the engine was left open and then open to the elements. It's South Florida. Everything gets really hot. You see some of the stuff was bent. the motorcycle was 100% mint when I had it, and you can see how I picked it up. And then obviously it was, most of the parts were in that blue bin. All I got was a frame, an engine, and that blue bin full of these plastic parts. All the other stuff had been thrown away. It was just basically the plastic parts. The bin was very light. It was maybe 20 pounds. And then if you look, there's water damage, and you see this part here was on the bottom part, and you can see where the water lines are of basically the mess that would accumulate inside of there. And there's another part there that you'll see, lines of water. That's the side fairing engine. And basically there's a proof that, everything got destroyed because it was all, the engine, it was all, inside of this blue bin that had been filling up with water. The engine was obviously exposed. They didn't try to cover it up or anything like that, leaving it outside. Water gets in there, you get water lock. But, as you can clearly see, there's just lines of water and pollen, and there was, pieces of leaves that I took out. You can see there's rust right there, which that can only happen from being left outside. You can see little rust, in the engines. That's the front of the frame. And they did have all the parts for my bike, because one thing that the attorney for Robert Morano, the guy that had my stolen parts and was selling them on eBay and make sure all the stickers that I put on were off, asked me during the deposition, went through all the parts on the bike in terms of how much were the shocks, what do you think that they're worth, what do you think the wiring harness is worth, what do you think the computer is worth, what do you think the wheels are worth, what do you think the tires are worth. Literally asked me all these questions because those are all the parts that got taken. And what he was asking me also during that deposition is if I would be willing to not take any money back and just have Robert Morano take the motorcycle parts and put the whole motorcycle back together. He wanted to see if that was an option for me, which I told him of course not. But that's because, they had gotten all the parts. And, what I think happened is when they mistakenly threw out all my parts and they put them out there, that they just, when they went back to get them, they just grabbed some of them. They didn't take them all back, obviously. And they obviously took the frame, obviously took the engine, and then just took a little blue plastic bin and threw some plastic parts in there. And that was it. I don't know what happened to the rest of the stuff, but there's certainly a lot more. And the sheriff's office, I don't know, hopefully there's, I get something back, but basically, the engine is completely waste because, as you can see, from the video of me actually picking up the engine, there is a bunch of rust that has gone inside. The engine wasn't sealed, it was left outside, and you can't have water just sitting inside of an engine for months in hot Florida.